Hi, everybody, and welcome to Conscious Conversations with Christine and Sarah Lynn. We're glad you're here.
Hello, everybody. We are so happy you're with us today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello, Christine.
Hi, Sarah Lynn.
We have arrived.
We arrived. We've had a day already, haven't we? Yeah.
It's what do they say? What a year this day has been.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so funny because we were just chatting, texting a little bit earlier, and we were looking at, this coming together today. And there are always these trends and threads and ideas floating in and out of consciousness. And then, of course, it's never what we think it's going to be. And so I know that I wrote, I was like, wow, I'm having that thing again. Like, I feel super sick and my head hurts. And if I remember correctly, you said the same thing was going on for you. Yeah.
It really was. And I was melting into the couch. I was as horizontal as I could possibly get. And there was just nothing. There was nothing to grasp onto. There was no, there was no good feeling in the land.
Well, that's so
good. It was all nausea and headaches and unpleasantness and flatness, and there were no good feelings in the land at all.
So funny. And I've been really looking at this lately, how consciousness, shifts in consciousness, perceptions of energy, awareness, so many things. The body is like just this ultra fine tuning receiver and expressor and guide for so much of it. Like even just last night, I was in my little in-person group, and we were being with anxiety and noticing the things that would ping the anxiety and all the thoughts of being wrong or judgment and all this stuff. And it was this super automatic reflexive response that would happen in the body to the type of thought that would go through. And I've had some of that recently myself, like where literally a thought would go through my head and trigger a 360-degree pain in my head. And I was like, what the hell? And as we were looking at it last night, we're like, oh my God, it's the lie detector. When we are thinking something that's illusory, that's a lie, that's not true. And the body, it's like getting so fast. I guess that was the perception and awareness I had. It was like this instant boom of no, like everything in the body shouting out a no. And then we were able to look at that as the gift that it is. Like, that's a really amazing alert system.
Yeah, it is. And what's funny is I was doing the same thing. Okay, So funny in the way that we do the same thing quite often. And I'm talking about it. This was, I don't know, sometime in recent time, I was writing about it. And what came out of that was, yeah, there is that sort of anxious focus in the body if it's responding to a thought that the mind has, which is, thoughts of the mind are only ever projections and anticipatory based on the past, right? So we've got these thoughts running that are based on something else, and then our body picks up on it and responds in kind. So what really became interesting about that was what I was able to do in that moment was actually shift my body's perception from mind being source to consciousness being source of information. And it was an instant.
Okay, so what's so fun, I'm listening to you, and I realize as I'm listening to you say these words, my mind is actually just kind of not engaging at all. It's just, whew. And I realize there's this consciousness listening to you. And I was like, this is weird. This is really interesting. What's going on? My mind was, I'm getting it, but I'm really not tracking with my mind. And then my consciousness receiving everything you say. And then you get to that part and yeah.
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 So, it's just literally that fast. Like you tracked it without even knowing the words, because I feel like maybe that's kind of is what is.
Yeah.
And, I really respect the body as a lie detector. I really do, as that vessel for the thought, as the expression of the mind. And isn't it cool that that's one option? The other option is that the body is the vessel for consciousness and doesn't have to be the obedient servant of the mind.
Yeah.
It can feel calm.
I just love looking at that. Like, okay, so if my body is not the obedient servant of the mind, it's an amazing lie detector. And it's here in service to the consciousness that we are, as the consciousness that we are. Don't we just suddenly go, oh my God, look at our body.
Yes. And what does the body do when you shift into consciousness as the messenger rather than the mind as the messenger? Like, for me, that really lights up my body and makes it feel alive and makes it engage, really, because it's almost like there's a deeper reverence to it, or a deeper respect for it. Like, whoa, it's actually hitting its potential.
It feels to me like it drops actually all the density that we think of as body too in that moment. It just like falls away.
Totally. It steps out of its own definition of itself, which is identity.
We should have an identity goodbye party.
Do you think the identities would have a crisis if we held them a party?
Celebrated. Maybe they'd be like, oh, finally, you acknowledge how wonderful I have been in service to you. I mean, that could be a big party. Whew.
It could be. Okay, so then let's challenge this one up, because this feels like it's up to bat for me. I have been tired.
Wait, are you coming to my thing that I'm offering next week? I'm tired. I haven't even set up the event yet, but it's going to happen. Why do we get tired? What the heck with tired? Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. And I know that is, that's a shifting vantage point. And there's so much tired going on. And that is, again, optional and not required.
Okay, so if body is coming from, is being the vessel for consciousness rather than the vessel for thought. Okay, and also not the vessel for emotion. And also not the vessel for emotion. And also not the vessel for physical.
Actually, not yes, exactly. It's those three things. That's how I see it for the tired. It comes through the mental field, the emotional field, and the physical field. And actually meeting something from that field instead of as the consciousness that you were just pointing at.
Right. So engaging with it rather than being the awareness of it.
Yeah, engagement. There's that piece. Yeah.
Okay, so then if body is the vessel for consciousness without engagement, is there tired? I just feel like there isn't right now.
No, it doesn't actually exist. It's not even really an option. It's not true. It's not a truth. So you can't find it from that space.
And it would actually be a lot of work to even try to create it, because you'd have to put a whole bunch of false structures in place that, they can't be held even. Yeah. Well,
and you and I may have talked about this before, because I know that there are people I see, and one of them, well, 2, 3, I could actually 4, all the shamans and healers that we see in Bali, they'll do these things where, they sleep 2 or 3 hours a night and they see people till 3 a.m. and then they start again at 6 a.m. and they're full on energetic facilitating, and they're not tired. And that's fascinating to me. And so the beautiful thing is, I look at that and I know that since I can see it, it's because I am the awareness of that. And if I'm the awareness of that, then I can have that awareness in another direction, meaning like inwardly. And I watch them. I watch the lack of engagement with the mental field. I watch the lack of engagement. And the nervous system. And I guess that's part of that mental field, but it's like the nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, does not engage. But the nervous system in perception doesn't engage either. It's consciousness that's the awareness. It's so different. And it's not tiring. And it's not just the perception of what we think of as out here. It's the perception of ourselves. Like, what is our, physical field noticing what we are? Is our mental field noticing what we are? Or is our consciousness aware of the things that we are fielding and experiencing? That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. And our minds really don't have a system to differentiate what's happening to us versus what's happening to somebody else or what's happening in the world around us. It takes in everything as fact or as what is. And so it sees that it's experiencing things. So if we are witnessing somebody who is having a big relationship with difficulty, if we're engaged with ourselves, then what we're going to really notice is their hardship, or we're going to notice that we're buying into that, and it's going to feel to us. It's just going to feel like something. And so the energetic sovereignty piece that we've been working with so much is just, it's the best key I've found to not be with that. Because when stuff is going on, if we know that our minds are accepting everything as real, everything is happening to us, through us, then the body, if it's running in the same play, is going to go, oh yeah, that's absolutely true. We're doing that. So then we're going to feel those people are feeling, perhaps, or I don't know, there's a better way to say that, but I don't really know what it is.
It's pretty
much buy into it as real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I know we've been talking about the pure awareness without engagement, and another piece that came in for me just today. It's just words, but it was super helpful. I love words. I'm just feeling the energy of this word as I'm getting ready to say it. Without intersection. And I know you've used the analogy staying in your lane. Like, so somebody's having their experience, they're having their sadness, they're having their grief, they're having their trauma. We stay in our lane. We can travel with them. We don't go in their lane and take on like what that thing you just described. And I saw that as no intersection. I mean, like, obviously engagement is intersection, but it's like, that's where it becomes enmeshed. That's where when the things touch, they intersect.
Yes. And we are the ones who put ourselves there.
It's a choice. We're the ones who move to that lane.
Yeah.
Because no one can make anybody else feel anything.
No. And you know what? We move to that lane, and then if we're being virtuous, we'll call it empathy.
Yeah, or caring, or love. We call it all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're abiding with somebody in their hurt.
See, this is, yeah, right. Oh, aren't we good? This is fascinating to me because that piece of, no, we can't make anybody feel anything and they can't make us feel anything. And yet we feel that we feel things because or in connection to our environment. And it's so easy. And I love it that you just said we're the ones who, create that. We choose that. So it feels like, well, somebody else is having this stress, this anger, that makes me feel a certain way. How often do we take that on? When you do this, that makes me feel such and such.
Yes.
Okay. And yet the truth is no one can make anybody feel anything. No. So in other words, when you do that, I make the choice to come and be with you in this particular engagement intersection, which is just like judgment and resistance. It's a going toward, meaning I want to have more of that.
Oh.
That just came like 2 minutes ago. I was like, well, that's really cool because I hadn't seen it before. It's the same energy. When we judge something, we're in resistance to it, and that's our signal to the universe. Okay, I want to know more about that. I want to have some more of that thing that I judge, that I think I want out of my life, that I hate. And it's the same thing when we move into somebody else's lane and we intersect and we're like, okay, you're having your trauma, your strife, your anger, your thing. I come over where you are. That is my signal to you and to me. I want that. And, oh man, that's so not what we really want. I mean, like, we're not in consciousness in that, right? We're in auto suck. We're going to auto suck with that. Like, I automatically suck when I do that.
Oh yeah. I love how you just laid the smackdown on that. Like, this is just what it is. And
it is. It's us going, I am going to have that with all that I am.
Yes.
And it goes like a bunch of shit on your face. And then you're like, why is this happening to me? I don't want to feel that. Never mind that we just like did like a hyper flight into that lane so we could have more of it.
Well, yeah. And then we engage even deeper when we add blame and the assignment of responsibility. And then we inevitably install our own victimhood into it.
Yeah, which is that you made me feel this way to begin with. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and and then we can even go farther. Oh my God, this is so cool, because you can even go farther into, well, this is this way because you, or I am this way because of, like, fill in the blank. So I mean, I think that ladder probably doesn't ever end until you get back in your own fucking lane.
Yeah, because you can go all the way back to like when you were in utero. This has happened to me because when I was in utero, you didn't want me.
Yes. and wind even further. This is happening because there's something unresolved in a past life. It all just keeps going and going. And isn't it just the most beautifully formed mechanism to remain stuck?
Yeah, and to continue to have increasingly larger amounts of the thing that we are protesting.
Yes.
That piece is fascinating to me, really.
Yeah, and you know what's coming up is interesting for me in that is that it would take a fraction of that amount of energy to actually go into something that really is interesting, rather than the thing that we don't want to be experiencing, except that we do, because we're invested so hugely in an energetic way in it. Like that, it's the exact same thing in just pointing something different. Yeah. And it's so flippin' simple, because we're doing it anyway. We're literally using the entire mechanism, whichever direction we choose to use it.
Yeah. We're brilliant. We're just mostly unaware.
Blissfully so.
I don't know if I go that far. I get pretty pissed when I'm unaware. It really makes me mad.
What is that blissfully unaware? Like, where does that come from? That doesn't even make sense, to be blissfully in the dark about what? Like, are we happy that we don't see? Are we happy that we pretend to see? That we pretend to not see that which we actually do see? Is that happiness? Is that how that works? I don't think so.
Punt. Dropkick. No. Oh my God. Yeah.
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 So let's riddle this, because we were talking about tired.
Yeah.
I have experienced, when I'm doing big shifts, a tiredness in my body, and I know I'm not alone in that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got some stuff there.
You got that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a bunch of info just came in.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So back to what you and I were looking at with, I guess, the engagement with the field of consciousness and the truth that is, and how everything else is some aspect of, I wouldn't call it distortion, interference maybe. And so I'm looking at what you just showed, like, okay, I go through a big shift in consciousness. I mean, and how many consciousness teachers will say, you got to honor this and give your body the rest it needs. And I do that, absolutely. And I just lay flat for the however many hours in the afternoon when a big thing comes through. But honestly, what I find is that when I'm all the way through the shift, I'm actually not tired. I'm totally invigorated. When I'm really on the other side. So what I'm seeing is it's our misperception of our truth that's really tiring. It's again that piece of it's difficult to be what we're not, but it's easy to be what we are. And even in like what kind of piece goes with that, that this is big energy, this wears me out, this means I have to sleep. Really? Is that actually part of the engagement with those other fields that we were talking about? Because I mean, I just watched this happen recently. So I'll give this as an example. I'm up against, in myself, because that's where everything is, right? Some big energies and some big illusions, and it's just a big struggle. And it feels like it's around me in various circumstances, people, whatever. Big one. And I've been waking every day with these 360-degree headaches that every time, like I was saying, every time I moved my head or had a thought, it would just jolt this pain through me. Nausea, the whole thing. And one day it got really, 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 really bad. And then I found that there was some word wanting to come out of me to be spoken that was absolutely true and that I didn't really want to say. And so then I was like, fuck it. And I say it. But even before I say that, but I still have this, I guess that was the first piece, outing the truth. And then there was still this resistance in me. I could feel it, and pressure was building in my head. It was horrible. And finally, it was much like an experience in breath work. And I just went, okay, I'm ready. It was another death. And there was that, again, that readiness for an absolute death of whether you call it ego or small self or illusion or whatever. And it was just this wholehearted commitment. I'm ready. Let's go. Everything explodes into a billion pieces of light, and I'm on the other side of it, and I'm instantly out of pain and feeling a ton of energy and clarity.
Yes.
So where was tired? Tired was in holding on to falsehood. Tired was in resistance to my own truth. Tired was in accommodation. That word just comes in. Instead, and out of all of that, there was actually no tired. There was, I mean, like instantly, tired went away, pain went away. I mean, it was boom, instant. It was really interesting.
So, there's this piece that really goes with that, where perhaps as it's coming to a head and on its way out, we actually, because we're not participating with it fully, we can actually see it for what it is and for the immense energy drain that the thing is.
And actually, that's what you were just showing me, was like when I was looking at you and your sort of description of that, it was like, I'm bringing everything from the past with me into this moment of transformation. They're like, all those pieces are like, and I'm coming here for this moment. And actually the transformation is just it's thinner than a sheet of paper. It doesn't have to bring everything with it.
No.
That's very tiring.
It's a lot to carry. It takes a lot to hold all of that in place.
Yeah.
So that it can even exist, or even so it can even be let go. Because to let anything go, we have to be in the absolute solid adamant witness that it exists.
That is so worth repeating.
To let anything go, we have to be in solid and adamant witness that it exists. So we actually have to affirm the existence of something in order for us to let it go.
So what happens if we simply discontinue affirming its existence?
Well, we get back in our own lane.
And it's not there, and there's nothing to let go, and there's no tired.
Yeah. And because you're not carrying anything with the physical, mental, and emotional, it doesn't have to be carried, and you don't have to. You don't even have to construct a system to bear that weight.
Mm-hmm.
Because maintaining that much illusion requires a lot of engagement, a lot of participation on behalf of the entire being. We have to engage our emotions. We have to agree that it's real. We have to then contribute to its continued reality, because it probably doesn't even want to exist. It's like, this is so not true. It's difficult for it to even hold itself there, and it literally can't without our continued affirmation that it's there.
And so through attention, like the nourishment to it through our attention and credence and agreement with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we create it, and then we agree with it, and then we have to let it go.
That even feels tired.
It does. And you know what? I can see it kind of in the rearview mirror of, wow, that can be called play. That can be called living full on. I mean, that can really be a place where it is exhilarating to be until it is no longer exhilarating, and the truth of it is just seen to not be there anymore. Like, it's drama. I mean, I think we just deconstructed drama, because that's what it is. It's that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really sweet that you point that out, because there's so much interest in drama. And I mean, that's fine. And that, I mean, it is interesting, as we've often said, until it's not. So if it's interesting, it's interesting. And just maybe just get to have that beautiful awareness that, oh, and it comes with this degree of intensity that creates a fatigue.
Well, yes. And you know what, the space that we don't enter here at the coffee shop is setting this out as a way, as what we're doing, as any way to be in the world. This is what we are doing. This is what we're noticing. This is what we're experiencing. This is what we're moving through. And this is what we're talking about. There's absolutely no issue if either one of us wanted to step into drama in one part of our life or in all parts of our life. For sure, go ahead. Absolutely. It's a non-issue, because it's part of all of it. We have that ability.
Yeah, we do.
And there's no judgment against it or for it. It's just something that's available. It's an option. And I'm noticing right now that it's a tired option. Good option doesn't even option.
It's not really fun.
No.
It's interesting because, drama, it creates so much emotion, whether the emotions can go all the whole spectrum, right? Like euphoria and ecstasy and anger and despair and all the things. And that has like this intensity of voltage or something. And now I'm kind of looking at that just from that wide open space of consciousness. And they look like, that looks like toddler toys.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like all the primary colors and open whistles. Yes, totally.
Right? And like that's what little bitty kids like. And they like the things that, make the sounds and have the lights, and they have bright colors, and they do this and that and whatever. And then after a while, you're just like, oh man, okay. Yeah, that was good when I was 3.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's so fun to kind of that place of really being in flow, where it can go any direction. There's not a right or wrong way. It's not, here's the formula of how I deal with if I'm feeling an emotion or some drama comes into my world or anything. And I know I was working through something the other day, and what was asked of me was to take a really intense shamanic journey. So meeting into the inner dimensions on the inner plane, and to embody energies that aren't usually my go-to. And so, for those you, of course, Sarah, and people who know me, I love this capacity that we're talking about to go, I can just sit here and be all that I am, which is this space. It's a beautiful, peaceful love and light. And it's not just love and light. That includes everything, but there's kind of just this open spaciousness. Let's just go with space. And then it's like, and it doesn't even exist. And this was actually asking for real intentional engagement on my part to embody the energy and presence of the Naga, the dragon that destroys everything with fire, and Kali, who, murders children and eats them and uses their bones to clean her teeth. I mean, like everything's black and red and vicious and that's not really my go-to space. That's not the place that's actually feels very native. And you said maybe I'm bringing this up because you said something to me, I think it was in a voice text, and it was so beautiful. And you were pointing at what was being asked of and what was coming through in the powerful choice of being everything, Like there's not a no to that. May not be home field, but I can play an away game and go and be a dragon and a Kali. Do you remember what you were saying? Do you have any, does this come up at all? Because it was so beautiful.
Yeah, totally. Want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what you were pointing at is this really isn't my way, is to go into this full-on engagement, because what you had to do was go to that which you were being and confront it with everything that you had. It's like, no, I'm not actually really that fighter, or you didn't use the word fighter, but that's what it showed itself to me as, is not really that. That's not really how I do this. I just kind of maybe notice something and look away from it, get back in my lane, right? It's the same idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't exist. But that time you really had to go full on. And we've talked about this before, where sometimes we have to get into something and really be with it fully, and other times we don't. But there, what came in when you said that was that bridge between the two, was that sort of missing link. And what it is it points to the degree of you that is required to fill that space. So if there's something sort of minor going on and you can just glance at it and go, yeah, I'm not actually interested, and you get back in your space and then it doesn't exist anymore, that's all that was required of you. So in witnessing it, it was enough to bring all of you to all of you. Okay?
Yeah.
And the situation where you required the massive amount of witnessing and really big time engagement, that's how much of you was required. That's how much blank space, blank space isn't quite the right word, but that's how much space there was asking you to fill it. So that space is you, where you've vacated, replaced you with other stuff, brought in other stuff, bought into other stuff, whatever that might be, programs, patterns, beliefs, whatever. That's how much of you was vacant. And so the degree that you had to engage with it is the degree that you actually have to call yourself back into it. That's how much of you was gone.
What I see you saying is like that much realignment. It required that sort of force of ferocity to realign myself with the truth of what I am.
Yep.
Now that's cool, because I feel like that's a really important piece, because we have been talking a lot about just leave it in the lane, this or that. And yet, if it's almost like part of me was in the other lane, and this was the part that got to go and engage with it in order to be back in the lane, mine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like your the amount of effort required for retrieval is the amount that you're going to need to engage with a situation.
Yeah.
So you can even look at it in terms of percentages. If you're non-participatory to the degree of 75% in this one aspect of yourself, it's going to take that much of you to fill that space where you're not participating. And so it's going to be a big thing. There's going to be a lot of engagement, just like you got to do that day. Whereas other stuff, you might just slightly be sitting on the sidelines with, you get that small nod of, yeah, I witnessed that, and I'm actually full of myself in that too. And you're totally fine.
Yeah.
It's right back there.
The other piece that's super interesting is in the middle of that, God, the image that often comes to me is like, you've entered a hallway and it's on fire and the door behind you just closed, and there's really one way to go, and you're going to go forward and you're going to go right into the fire so that you come out on the other side. I mean, that's kind of the feeling. There's actually no other option. And at that moment, it's like every option feels impossible and unsurmountable and difficulty beyond measure. It's like I don't know how it's in me to do this. And I remember even what I was up against in myself was making my brain feel foggy, and I was so tired, and I couldn't, the whole thing. It was like, and I remember thinking that almost the sense of despairing, like there's nothing that can be done about this. I mean, it was weird, right? It was just strange, all those energies. And so it felt nearly impossible. And then on the other side, it's literally like no thing. Even though all of that was there, even though all of that massive engagement was there, even though all of the deep journey into the underbelly of everything was there, And then I'm on the other side, like, I don't even know why that was a big deal. And yet everything in my life felt like it was like absolutely impossible until the other side, which points out to me the illusory, the power of the illusion when we buy into it. Because it actually isn't impossible. And I mean, God, I can just feel how many people this is speaking to. I mean, it's right to my own heart, but that thing that feels like there's no way I can do that. There's no way I can become that or surmount this thing that's been my pattern or my whatever, my obstacle, my block, and what. That thing, when seen from the truth of what we are and choice that follows the truth of what we are,
yeah,
it all becomes nothing. That's fascinating to me because I've been literally full in on both vantage points of that. Yeah.
Well, and look at what happened in the 48 hours after you went through that. Like, look at the instant physical reorganization of your entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
everything lined up. Like poof, poof.
Yeah. And you didn't try.
No.
Like, you put no effort into any of those things, and it was just, it's like it dropped in. It's like the puzzle put itself together. Mm-hmm. And there was no effort. And the ease of it all comes after you go through it. You know, it's
I just keep coming back to after you choose. I mean, it was that I can see myself lying in the bed going, okay, I'm ready. And this full on commitment to I'm ready, you know, to go to that moment that feels like impossible death and then go through. Yeah. Choosing's big.
It is big. It is big. There was, you know, for a really easy example of that, remember that night where I was laying in bed and I was getting the flu? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't really want the flu, but all right. You know, if that's what's happening, okay. If this is really the very best thing at this moment, and for I don't know how long it takes to have the flu, but I was imagining it would probably be a few days, then okay, I'll lay here and have it. But I just want to check, is there a peaceful, softer option for my body? And it was gone. It was gone. And it dripped out piece by piece. All of a sudden, I didn't have a headache anymore. My body didn't hurt anymore. My neck didn't hurt. Everything felt totally fine. I wasn't coughing. My nose cleared up. Like, it was just, and it was complete within, I'd say, less than 2 minutes. It was totally done. Never had another symptom. And it was just the total allowance of, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, if this is, I'm not objecting to having the flu, but is there something different we can do?
I love that too, because there's no resistance in it. There's simple awareness. I mean, there's just pure awareness, which is powerful, but there wasn't resistance. Feels like if you had been in resistance, you for sure would have had the flu.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
And that would have been fine. You know, I'm still not going to say, obviously, I still don't have any resistance. I was like, okay, well, if that's what it is, great. But at that point, too, I was really super interested in sitting and looking at potentials, you know, because there was things that I was really immersing myself in terms of, okay, let's sit here and notice what the potentials are that are spinning, and each one of them with each step towards it spirals out into a trajectory or into a path. And yeah, I was really playing with that. I still am, but I was really playing with that at that time. And it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Totally cool.
Yeah. You know, I was looking when I was sending the email out for this. I think we did this in August. Our last one was in August.
A while ago.
It was like a lifetime ago, maybe 2.
Oh my God. Like, I just now felt actually back to mid-August, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was a whole different thing, whole different time. And we got to see each other in September, like real life, in person.
We did.
That was nice.
That was great. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I just flashed to it today. And I was like, yeah, need more of that.
Yes, more of that. And you know what's so interesting about that is that the sacred space that it was,
Mm-hmm.
there was, well, I think we'd all even left before you even got online to talk about you even being there. Like there was no engagement with the outside world in those days. You know, there wasn't a social media presence for any of us. Like it was just
That's true.
quiet and still and lots of bathrobes and hanging out and doing the thing we were doing. But it was a very remarkable space.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, more of that.
Yeah, that makes me excited because since that time, and I've known I want to do more of those sound baths that you guys came to on that Friday night. And I have two now. I've got one in December coming and one in January. And I just want to do them all the time. So it's finally coming in.
It was really good. It was really good. That's such a strength for you. It's like the natural thing that is for you is your bowls and your song and the transformation and the potentials that open up just while you're there. It was really nice. It was really sweet. And I don't always get something when I'm sitting in a room with somebody doing something that is magical. Like I just don't. But when I'm with your bowls and you and your voice, pretty inevitably something happens. Yeah.
It's funny, just the other day I got to hear for the first time a little bit of that recording, and I heard it playing, and I knew it was me and bowls, and I didn't have any idea what it was. And then I thought, oh, that's from Banff. And I got to receive it as if I hadn't had anything to do in the creation of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. That, oh my goodness, that is so funny. I mean, yeah, I get that, but I'm just identifying with it because I did this thing the other day that didn't have anything to do with the creation of, except it got to come through my voice, and I've been listening to it going, wow.
Right? And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. And you have no idea what you had said or what happened. And I mean, because it's all just creation in the moment of being. And so there's no attachment to it. There's no identification with it. There's no ownership of any of it. It's just free flow and it's happening. And then you hear it later and you're like, well, I mean, that's a really cool thing. I mean, because how often do we talk about we're all God beholding itself from all these different angles, and then we literally get to do that with ourselves, like the same way I'm sitting here beholding you as God, talking to me as God, but then it literally can like reflect on itself when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a perfect system, right? Like it's a perfect loop, because how often are we saying things to other people that we are receiving in some way that might be new information? And that's part of the beautiful thing about working with consciousness is we don't actually have to know what we're talking about.
No. I mean, how many times do we say, I've never heard that before? We speak something and I've never said that before. Wow, I didn't even know that. And I'm like, what part of us is pretending again that we don't know something that we know? But it's cute and we do it. And it's wondrous. It's just wondrous. It's like opening presents.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like opening the best presents, the ones that you wrapped for yourself.
Oh my God. It's like the only thing happening in our whole life. Everybody's. We're opening all the presents that we wrapped for ourselves.
Oh.
It's eternal Christmas.
It's always
birthday. And they were like, who the fuck thought this would be a funny present? Oh, I did. thinking? I hate that color.
I hate that color. I don't need more socks. I got socks every single year.
Why did I buy myself used underwear from the Goodwill? That's gross. Why would I give myself a gross present? Crusty. Oh my God.
Stinky, yucky, nasty.
Let's see if there's a different present. I think I need a different one. Oh, look. There's a lifetime of them under my tree. I'll just keep going.
Oh my God. But, oh my goodness. So, yeah, we're unwrapping the stinky socks and the gross underwear that we gave ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how those presents instantly change according to what we're looking at.
I just loved watching your face while you said that. That was
Look at that.
I know.
If we're continuing to be focused in that singular direction of what those shitty presents are, pun intended, then the other presents are going to look exactly the same.
They'll be stinky by association, yeah, from sitting under the same tree.
Yeah. And so then we don't look at those anymore. All of the other gifts are changed. So yeah, it's like there's actually nothing to learn. There's no lessons because you pick your path. You pick your focus.
You do. And what I'm seeing as you say that is like I can go, screw that tree. Let's find a different one. Look at all those presents. I don't know what's with the stinky tree, but there's like a forest actually. Oh, there are plants and trees and they all have presents. And I'm going to go find my favorite one now. And then I'll move on to my next favorite one.
You're kind of taking it out on the tree.
Well, they are all of my creation.
That's true. You have whatever kind of tree you want.
It's not their fault that I made them.
Let's get rid of this tree and get a different tree altogether.
That's just me. I'm creating something else by looking another way. The tree's actually illusory. Yeah.
So I think that probably I picked my tree according to the lights that are shining on it.
Oh. Do you like colored or white lights?
I like them all.
And do you like them blinking or not?
I like it all.
I thought you were going to go yes.
Yeah, I do. I like it all. I and we don't even actually, like for Christmas time, we don't even put up a tree. We have this giant tree in our house, and his name is Carl. And he's, I don't know, I'm looking at him right now. Can't remember what he's actually called. He's some sort of pine that you can get in a little pot at the flower store. And he's grown up. He's taller than me. And we decorate Carl and give him a tree skirt. And he really likes the tree skirt. And he really likes the blinking lights and the not blinking lights and the clear lights and the white lights. But he's kind of delicate, even though he's so big. So he can't have a whole lot of weight in the lights. So, you know, we just kind of go until he starts to droop. But we put all of it, everything. Have it all. Love it all. Yes. Yeah. He's actually wearing some lights right now. They're pink.
Oh, Carla.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, that feels so good.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Man.
It does.
Mm.
Oh, you know, we have like 10 minutes, and I know we had a couple questions.
Oh, I'm in charge of that too. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, if you want.
Okay. When I pick up a crystal and feel its energy run through me, is that called empathy?
I would say that's called awareness.
I would say that is called awareness of self.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no other energy. the stone's kind of just showing that it's only going to, oh, this is interesting, that it's the energy that runs through it is your own. If there's such thing as your own, which we might need to like get microcosmic on, that it is your own identification or your own awareness of your own energy that's going through it. And maybe in just a softer, higher light, because we tend to believe better of crystals than we do of ourselves. That's why people will use them for healing. So they believe there's some sort of power. And as soon as we do that, all we're doing is accessing higher levels of our own.
Right. What I see you pointing at is like it enliven that which we're perceiving as the energy of the crystal resonates with, basically enlivens the resonance within us of what's there, of that vibrational strand of energy in us. And we're like, oh, I feel the crystal. And as you're saying, you feel you have awareness of self. And it is, vibrations are different. We know that, just like notes on the piano, like the high notes are the really fast ones and the low ones are the big slow ones, and they're different vibrations. They sound different. Sure. So vibrations vary. And you're talking about the resonance and the alignment with something that's here. And how often do we pick up a crystal and go, what? I don't know, not really. Like there may be nothing you feel, there may be no resonance. And something else, you pick it up and you go, whoa.
Yes.
Enlivening your awareness of that within you and your alignment.
Yep. And I'm so glad you're using the word resonance, because when we are choosing with resonance, we are choosing ourselves.
And we're choosing truth. Sorry, I jumped in there. I was just saying, and we're choosing truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we choose with our own resonance. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of makes it really easy.
And I love how you pointed to how we're more generous in assignment of qualities to a crystal than to ourselves. Like, what would it be like to walk around and go, I'm actually just this healing emanating presence. Like if you were to hold me, you would be healed.
Yeah.
Why is that not true?
Well, you know what we'd have then if people were holding themselves to be healed? We'd have a lot of this.
We would.
We'd be hugging ourselves. We'd be holding ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we heal. But I mean, we do. But I mean, that's like really universal. That's not just with crystals. That's with anything.
Yes.
We hold anything that we believe to have more power than ourselves in any given situation. And it's the thing that's going to work, right? It's the thing that has the potential to heal.
Absolutely.
And because it helps us to access that greater good, that higher version. I mean, whatever value statement we want to put on it, we're going to assign it outside of us until we don't anymore, until we have enough of that identification within that we go, wait a minute, I'm not doing that thing where I go outside of me to get anything. This is like what we were talking about the other day when you were laughing when I said, I prefer not to learn anything.
Yeah, that was super funny. Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to have information come from outside, because I'm just going to go through and experience it anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and other things can certainly contribute, but you know what? I won't actually let them contribute until I've got a pretty good handle on it from what's going on within.
Yeah. It's interesting. I remember having an awareness once, and I just returned to the power of it now. And I realize I haven't stepped into the full embodiment or alignment and resonance with this awareness. And so I think I'm saying this just kind of for my own, vantage point at this moment. And I was so in tune with the beyond identification aspect of what we are. Like that's not really identified with anything. It's that all space. It's that huge, just open, full pre-creation energy. And I got that. I was so full of that in just perception of awareness. And I knew that if I were to take a single breath of that awareness, it would heal anything in my body, mind, spirit, anything in an instant.
Yeah.
Nothing it wouldn't touch, heal completely.
Yes.
And as of yet, I'm just going to own it, because I'm going to say until now, that's not been something that I've aligned with fully in resonance, that knowing, because it's true. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, why wouldn't I align with that?
well, we're next door neighbors on that one because I'm doing exactly the same thing. Yes. Yeah. I totally. And why not? I don't know why not, but it's not yet. It's not yet. But it's almost like
it's such a game over when it is, though. When it happens, that's a game over for something that I don't even know what the game is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm going to go there. I am there. Let's say I'm not going there. Let's just be it because it's already here. So, whoa, I can have that in awareness. I can.
Well, and you think of how fun it is to sit at the point of eternal observation. And because from that point, we can look at anything. We can look at ourselves as consciousness using light to create matter and antimatter, which then will spontaneously return back into light. So we don't even, there is no effort requiring exertion in any direction. So if we have any interplay or engagement with effort, then that's kind of going to make it a little bit interesting to really step into that place where you know that you actually are, where I know that I actually am. And I'm not sure that even effort's the thing, but there's the potential that some of the things that we're still running in or have interest in that haven't completed yet, just haven't completed yet. And until our interest shifts more to the place where you're talking about of, being in the total awareness, sort of as source, or I'm not sure what the word was you used. I don't know, but is that even a completion point? No, it's not. It's not. It's more of a generation point. It's not really a point.
Mm-mm.
Oh, look at that.
That was good.
That was good. It always is. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting about that is in this silence that I feel like I'm interrupting with words? It's like, it's the softness of that thing. It's the essence of that space that we just thought that we weren't quite at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just been falling into it. Wow. And I'm reminded again, we think we're not in charge somehow of that shift in awareness, like in the waking up, in the moving into all that we are. We feel like we have to somehow take steps to get there and find the right pieces, and that we can't have it when we want it, and that somehow we're not in charge of literally the sleight of hand that's the game changer. And we are. We are. There's nothing else happening.
There's nothing else happening.
At least we can rest in our own power, even if we're befuddled by our choices.
At least we can rest in power. We are befuddled, good word by the way, by our choices.
Yeah.
Did you just solve humanity?
Whew.
That's pretty profound, actually.
Uh, damn, I love us. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love us too. And I love this space. And you know,
Me too.
I actually really love that we share this space, like beyond you and I.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like exponentially multiplies the factor of creation of this sort of illumination of the consciousness. Yeah. By the people here creating. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you,
it
everybody.
does. Yeah, thank you all for coming, for
Mhm.
watching,
Yeah.
whenever that is.
Yeah. Because it's all now.
Yeah, it's all.
All right.
Well, Heart, I do love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for this.
Yeah. Thank you too. And you're welcome.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Good to see you guys. Until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.